Great seeing you here. My name is Luc de Koster, founder of the Koster Academy. And in this video, we start talking about tailoring. We're talking about the PMBOK 7th edition, and we're considering tailoring models, methods, and artifacts. In this first video, we're looking into tailoring. What is tailoring and why is tailoring important? But before we continue, don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. So let's have a look at the tailoring, the overview of tailoring. Now, when we talk about tailoring, we are in fact considering that we are adapting project management approaches, governance, and processes so that they fit the environment and the work. We can have all those processes, all these things with all the possibilities, but is it really necessary for our project? Can we simplify? When we look at tailoring, it's driven by the project management principles, like they are described in the standards for project management that we discussed in previous videos. When we have organizations, for example, that are stakeholder focused, it is clear that more processes will be related to stakeholder engagement compared to organizations where stakeholders are not as important as in these other organizations. So it depends what is the focus of the organization on stakeholders and stakeholder management. Another example is when we consider risk. Some organizations are risk tolerant. They deal with risk, they live with risk, and in that case, they will accept more risks occurring on the project. And what they can do with that, they may have less control implemented over all the possible risks because they understand what the risks are and they're used to working with it, so they understand what they can do. Low risk tolerant organizations may introduce more processes just to be aware when something is going wrong that they can react very quickly. So there are different views when we look at the project in the organization. We have to consider how will we adjust the processes, the content of the processes, also the number of processes. When we look at frameworks and methodologies, there are frameworks and methodologies that have been developed, and they include all the different elements. There is no customization done as such. So when you look at these organizations, whatever project you have, you're using the methodology as it has been prescribed. You go through all the processes. Now, what can happen here? We can integrate or we can have a higher than needed complexity related to all the processes, and there may be too much focus on processes compared to the actual need. Now, when we see that these methodologies that have been proven successful, they exist, but it's always advised to review what you're going to do to adjust the methodology and the processes that are included to avoid too much non-value added work. When we look at tailoring, what are the goals of tailoring? Well, we want to see what will tailoring do for us. Typically, we will have a quicker delivery or as soon as possible because we're spending less time on work which is not needed. We minimize project cost because doing all those processes have a cost. The people have to be paid who are doing that. You have resources that are doing the work, perhaps even computer time that you're using or other resources that you have to pay for. There is value optimization because we reduce the non-value add processes. A very important element when we look at value stream mapping, we take out everything which is not necessary. We get high value deliverables and outcomes. We still have compliance with regulatory standards. We satisfy the stakeholders' expectations, and we're easy to adapt to change. So these are elements what we want to have when we do tailoring. Why is tailoring important? When we look at tailoring, we have to see that what is the relation between the project, the organization, and the processes. What are the needs that we really have? What is the operating environment? What organization are we working in? Now, when we build a house or a train station with surrounding infrastructure, we will need a different approach, and applying the tools and techniques, they must be adjusted to comply with these elements. Communication needs to change depending on the number of stakeholders and the complexity of the communication needs itself. The way we deal with projects have to be adjusted or has to be adjusted to the actual needs. We don't want to implement certain things that are not necessary. Unnecessary reporting, contacting people we don't need, sending out emails when it's not necessary, meetings that are not necessary should be cancelled or avoided, and things like that. So we have to look also at the size of the meetings. What can we do? Is it an important project? We may have different meetings following a general meeting. All these things have to be adjusted to the process or to the project itself. When we look at tailoring, there are, of course, positive effects. When we look at the positive effects of tailoring, we can see that the team members are more committed because the tailoring has taken out unnecessary workload. We don't like to do the things that are basically not really necessary for what we want to achieve. We have a customer-oriented focus, and reducing all that work that we don't really need, it will have an effect on the communication. It will be a clearer communication. We will be looking at the organization and the status of the project, and we will take out all unnecessary items. We have a better overview. There is less admin control and less support that is necessary to complete the work. Also, another very important element is that the project resources are used more efficiently, and the effect is that the cost will be lower and more in balance with the total cost of the project. When we have a project of 1 million euro, well, we expect to have more costs related to project management. If we have a project with a total cost of 10,000 euro, it is clear that our investment in all those additional systems, processes, it should be adjusted to the total value of the project. So that was it, the first introduction into tailoring. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button, and every time we have a new video, YouTube will inform you about it. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our new videos. Bye bye.